Happy December, folks, and welcome to episode 575 of #AskGSM here today for Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great week so far. The WWE AEW 2024 Year in Review Awards are now open right now to vote in on WrestleRant.com, the 12th annual Year in Review Awards. We do these every single year on the website. We then reveal the results on the last WrestleRant radio of the year, which is going to fall on December 26th this year. So be sure to vote now. Go to the website. It's right on the homepage. Just scroll down a little bit, and you can see the Year in Review Awards poll, where you can go vote. The link is also available on my Twitter if you can't find it on the website for whatever reason. It's also down in the description box down below to check out the website. Speaking of links in the description box, you can now check out our all-new Pro Wrestling Tees store. Buy a shirt. We now have not one, not two, but 3 different designs that you guys can get, including the original WrestleRant shirt celebrating 14 years of the WrestleRant brand. We have a Halloween design, which is really, really well done. Credit to Alexis for making that one. She actually made all 3 of them, but I thought she did a great job with all 3. And the Christmas one as well. The Christmas one is also now out for the holiday season by a WrestleRant Christmas shirt, red color. I think it's very cool looking. Available right now over at ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. I'm going to be at a Celtics game tonight, actually, my first ever NBA game. So we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible, bang out these questions, and let you guys go on your merry way. First question comes from Mike Does It from YouTube. He asked, thoughts on a match between Pentagon Jr., who's now a free agent actually, versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 41. Would this match be something that you would want to see at WrestleMania? Abso-fucking-lutely. I don't see that happening. It sounds like Rey Fenix will not be contractually free from AEW anytime soon. It sounds like he's going to be under contract to them for a while, at least well into 2025. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. We have not seen the two on AEW television at least since the summer, probably since June or July. But they've been under contract this entire time. Pentagon just became contractually free the other day, as of December 1st. So I think WWE is able to pick him up on his own if they wanted to. I think they should. I don't know if they want to wait until Rey is free as well, Rey Fenix, that is. I don't know if Pentagon himself would want to wait until Pentagon is free. When I say until Phoenix is free. I don't know if they would want to wait to bring in Pentagon or if he would want to wait until Phoenix is free. Maybe Pentagon works other promotions in the meantime. Like, I don't know if he goes back to TNA necessarily, but, he's a former TNA world champion. Maybe we see him back in MLW perhaps, or AAA, CMLL, whatever. Very possible. I would like to see him go right to WWE. I think WWE should pick him up immediately, use him. I think an NXT run would be cool. You could put him on the main roster, but listen, Pentagon coming the right fuck in and beating, Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship right away. Hey, why the fuck not? I think LA Knight should get the belt back, but if you really want to switch things up and do what you did with Motor City Machine Guns, just bring him in and put the belt on him immediately. Like, why the fuck not, I think that'd be sick. But Pentagon and Rey would be awesome. They actually did do that match, I think, in Lucha Underground, if I'm not mistaken. I think they did Rey Mysterio. I know they did Rey Mysterio and Ricochet, a.k.a. Prince Puma at the time in Lucha. They probably did Rey Mysterio in Pentagon as well, if I'm not mistaken. Rey wasn't there for that long. He was probably only there for a season or two before he went back to WWE. He wasn't there. He may have shown up the first season. I don't think so. I don't think he was there the first season. I think he debuted in the second season. And then he may have been there the third season. The fourth season, I don't think he was there. He may not have been there the third season. I don't remember. But either way, they may have done that match at one point. I would love to see that match either again or for the first time in WWE. And a WrestleMania would be perfect. I don't think there's enough match slots at WrestleMania for them to even do that match. I know they did Rey and Dom at Mania a couple of years ago, and that was a big deal. But, that was a big deal because it's Rey Mysterio wanted to work with his son, and, Rey Mysterio went into the Hall of Fame that weekend. I know he was in a Mania match this year as well, a tag team match. I just don't see them dedicating a whole storyline to Pentagon and Rey. And that would also mean Pentagon would have to go to Raw, unless they do a brand or a fucking draft between now and Mania, which is possible with the Netflix move. I would just put him on SmackDown. I feel like the SmackDown mid-card scene needs him more than Raw does at the moment. Manny Fresh 369 from YouTube, their question was, WWE is so stacked right now and they have so many options. With CM Punk being added to the mix, which scenario would you prefer? 1. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns main event on one night with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania is talking about. Main event one night with Cody Rhodes and The Rock the other night. 2. Rock versus Roman one night with Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton on night 2. And 3. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins main event one night with Cody versus Roman if The Rock can't attend. Cody versus Roman, absolutely fucking not. So I think number 3 is automatically rolled out. I do not want to see Cody versus Roman again anytime soon, especially at a WrestleMania. I think if you're going to do that match again, which you could at some point, I would do it much later down the road, and I would also flip the dynamic. You could do babyface versus babyface, but I think Cody Rhodes being the heel would be even more interesting. So I feel like you could save that for down the road. Of the other 2 options, either Punk and Roman and Cody and Rock, or Rock and Roman, and then Cody and Randy. We have to do Cody and Rock at some point. They have to do it. I don't think it's happening at the Rumble. I mean, maybe something happens on SmackDown that would dictate that it's going to happen at the Rumble. I think they're just saving it for Mania, and it's so obvious that Cody Rhodes is going to beat Rock, and he should beat Rock. I don't think it should be the other way around. That to me is more of a Rumble match, but if they want to set it up for Mania, which it looks like they are, then probably option 1. Punk and Roman. I want Punk and Rollins, but, I would prefer to see Punk and Rollins and then Roman and Jacob Fatu. Definitely not Roman and Solo Sikoa. But, I'm just going off the options that you gave me. So, probably the first one. Rock and Roman would be great, and then Cody and Randy, but Punk wouldn't fit into the main event plans, which I don't think he will anyway. So, man, it's tough to say. I'm probably going to go option... I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to say option 2. I'm going to say Cody and Randy in a main event of night 2 or 1 or whatever, and then Rock and Roman the other main event. Because I feel like they're going to save Rock and Roman for like fucking Mania 42. At this point, I just kind of want them to get it over with. But in that case, you're not doing Cody and Rock, which they set up. So I would prefer to see the second option of Rock and Roman and Cody and Randy. What I think is more likely is that they get to Punk and Roman first, which I don't think they will, but I do think Cody and Rock will come first. So let's go option 1, and then option 2, and then option 3. Jordan B. from YouTube, what are some of your favorite WWE kickoff / pre-show matches? For me, it's the Usos versus The Shield, Money in the Bank 2013. The Usos versus The New Day, SummerSlam 2017. Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander, WrestleMania 34. The New Day versus Undisputed Era versus the Viking Raiders at Survivor Series 2019. Austin Aries versus Neville, WrestleMania 33. And Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese at WrestleMania 35. I was actually there for the latter 2 at Mania 33 and 35. There's been a lot of great kickoff pre-show matches. They don't really do it anymore, thankfully. I don't think they're really necessary, but especially pre-COVID, they did a lot of them. A lot of them for like a fucking decade. And I would say among the best ones are the ones that you mentioned. I think my top 3 are Usos and Shield. And then Neville and Aries might be my number 1 because I was there for that one. And seeing, Aries specifically at that time compete at a WrestleMania was really, really cool. And I really liked their match. So that would probably be my favorite one. Usos and Shield would be a close 2 because that was just a great match. Murphy and Tony Nese was a good pre-show match. I don't know if it'd be my favorite. I would go for number 3, maybe Usos and New Day. That was awesome too. For my third one, I'm going to go out on a limb here and mention what, not really out on a limb, I'm just surprised you didn't mention it. WLC from, Extreme Rules 2014. That is considered the best pre-show match they've ever done on a WWE pay-per-view. So I don't know if that would be my favorite necessarily, because you didn't say like best, you're just saying favorite. I feel like you would have to mention that one because that was just a lot more fun than it had any right to be. It was so fucking stupid that it was actually well done and fun. Not meaning to rhyme there, but it was. It was very well done. It was very fun. So I would probably mention WLC between Hornswoggle and El Torito with the rest of 3MB and Los Matadors and all that other shit. That was actually a very fun match from Extreme Rules 2014. Emmanuel A. from YouTube, their first question was, do you think non-World Championship matches can afford to change hands more often? It's not much, but between Jey Uso winning the IC title and Shinsuke Nakamura winning the US title, WWE seems to be going for more spontaneous title changes recently. I know Jay's reign wasn't long, and I know that you weren't that high in Shinsuke Nakamura's win, but do you think these kind of title wins are still good for giving the wrestlers momentum, or if nothing else, is it fine to give them at least one big moment for the year? No, I think it's fine to not do 8-month title runs for any fucking, even with the World Championship. I think you can afford to, like, let's say, for example, give Kevin Owens the win at Saturday night's main event, and then if you want to have Cody Rhodes walk into Mania as champion, which I think they do, you can afford to have Cody lose the belt and then get it back between now and WrestleMania. Like Rollins, his reign as World Heavyweight Champion was great. He could have lost the belt to Nakamura. You mentioned that I'm down in Nakamura's win at Survivor Series, because I am. It's just because we've seen him as the mid-card champion before, and none of his other mid-card title defenses in this company or title runs were remotely interesting. I think he's doing great work as a heel. I think he was doing also great work as a heel. I enjoyed the feud with Rollins, but he lost every fucking time. I was in full, I was in full advocacy. I was fully advocating for Nakamura to win the World Heavyweight Championship last year, albeit briefly, if only briefly. And they did two matches between the two on pay-per-view, and he lost both times. Two very good matches, but he lost both times. The mid-card title thing, I just don't give a fuck about. Like, if they gave the belt to Carmelo Hayes and then gave it back to LA Knight, that would have been totally fine with me. But instead, they, kept the belt on Knight and then gave it to Nakamura instead. I thought that was stupid. It's not that I hated Knight losing the belt. I just hated that it was Shinsuke Nakamura. Because we've been here before. I just don't really care about the guy as a mid-card guy at this point. I feel like he's more of a stepping stone. I just don't really care. If he were to win a world title for the first time, then maybe. But that's not where we're at. The Jey Uso thing, I was in full favor of. You will not see a single complaint from me about that, whether it be at the time or in retrospect. I thought that was really well done. Braun Breaker had not been champion for all that long. He had just won the championship like a month and a half earlier when he lost it to Jey Uso, and it made for a great moment, one of the best moments all year. And then he lost it right back to Braun like a month later. He was champion for like 4 to 6 weeks, and then he lost it right back to Braun Breaker like immediately. And that was totally fine because it made sense, and it was a great moment, and it was really cool. So I thought it was well done. That I thought was cool. Like, I think we can afford to do more quick title changes like that. That makes sense and are to the right people. The Nakamura one thing to me didn't make sense because it's like no one has given a fuck about this guy in forever. And now we're just going to give him the U.S. Championship and cut LA Knight's momentum short. I thought that was stupid. Maybe Knight gets the belt right back, but it's like, to me, nothing was accomplished. We've seen Nakamura as U.S. Champion before. I would rather, it's not the fact that Knight dropped the belt, it's more so the fact that it was Nakamura that did it, And they could have put someone else in that spot, like an Andrade, like a Carmelo, like almost anyone else on SmackDown, like Escobar or whoever, and I feel like it would have made more sense. The Jey Uso thing was cool. But yeah, I think they could totally afford to have, like, not month-long title reigns, because they were doing that for a while, where the title would change hands fucking constantly. Whether it be in the Attitude Era, or like in the mid-2010s, late 2000s, the belt would only be on any one individual for like 2 months, and that reign wouldn't really be overly important. Like, people forget that John Morrison, for example, was IC champion because he wasn't champion for any long stretch of time. They don't have to be champion for 6 months, but when you don't really have all that memorable of a run, then it's kind of hard to have a great run. Like, the Jey Uso thing was more memorable than any John Morrison IC title win because it didn't last long, but it was a great fucking moment. When you have great moments, quote-unquote, all the time, it loses its specialness. The title changes don't mean as much. The belt itself doesn't mean as much. But there is a happy medium there, I think, for sure. Your second question, do you think it's better for a wrestling show to start strong and end strong regardless of a weak middle, or for it to gradually improve as it goes? The in-game tips for GM mode and the SmackDown vs. Raw games, you're recommended to make each match in a card better than the last by putting your least popular stars in the first few matches and your most popular at the end. In WWE 2K's GM mode, you're encouraged now to make the first and last match the best of the show, since even if the mid-card matches are duds, you'll be graded with good booking that the opening match and the main event are the highest rated. That's a good question. I think it's just subjective. I think you always want to start strong and end strong. I feel like that's probably the best way to go. If you do have a card that gets gradually better, that works too. I always go back to WrestleMania, I want to say 39, Night 1 specifically. Like, the Cena Theory match wasn't awful, but it wasn't like, it was easily the weakest match on that show, on that entire Night 1 WrestleMania 39 card. But each match was better than the last, and they had a lot of great fucking matches on that show, and it was like, oh wow, this is a good show. It's a great show. It's an amazing show. And they saved the best for last in the main event. And even Charlotte and Rhea, I think, if that was second to last, they had one of their best matches, like not in the opener, but they did it close to the main event, and they didn't suffer from going on right before the main event because that match was also amazing. Both matches were equally great. So, it's, again, I think it's just more of a, I think it's more of just a perspective thing, more of an opinion thing, more of a preference thing. I think you want to start strong and end strong, because people will remember more of a great opener than they will like a great sub-main event that gets overshadowed sometimes by the main event anyway. That wasn't the case with Night 1 39 WrestleMania, the WrestleMania 39 Night 1 card. But that's just because it was WrestleMania. If it was any other card, that would be a different story. I think you always want to start strong, get people into the show, and if it dies down a little bit, it's fine, and then kind of wake them up again to the great main event. There's been a lot of WWE shows that have started strong and ended strong. And the mid-card, undercard wasn't great. But, if you have a great show, then that gradually gets better, I think that's fine too. So I feel like I don't think one is better than the other. But if I had to choose just one, I would say start strong and end strong, as opposed to putting on fucking Akira Tozawa versus Buddy Murphy. I'm just throwing names out there. And I'm saying Buddy Murphy because I saw him in the question for that pre-show question from... I saw his name in that question from earlier on, so I saw his name on my document. But, you would put on Buddy Murphy and Akira Tozawa first. Like who gives a shit? I would rather they start strong and end strong as opposed to the other way around. Let's see. Joe M. from YouTube, their first question was, is Austin Theory's best hope at being a top guy one day is to do the exact same thing as Drew McIntyre when he was released, build a name for himself elsewhere because he feels like he is damaged goods in WWE. He feels similar to Drew in his first run, where they were both two of the most talented guys on the roster, but both could not connect with the audience at all. Plus, I don't see him, or Waller for that matter, being much better off with this breakup when the breakup eventually comes, because save for their title run, they've been treated like jobbers to the stars. I don't think that's a bad comparison at all. I think to call Theory like, a modern-day Drew from what Drew was a decade ago is not wrong whatsoever. Like, even Theory now is in a better spot than Drew was at the time. When Drew's push fizzled out in 2010, he did win the tag team titles, albeit briefly, but he was tag team champions with Cody Rhodes. Theory was champions with Waller. He was always on the show as Drew. He was a constant presence on Raw and SmackDown in 2011, 2012. For a while there, in 2012, he was not on the show all that much. And then he joined 3MB, and that was a fucking career killer. At that point, it would have been impossible to see the guy as a single star and anywhere close to a main event threat. Theory's not quite at that point, but he does feel like he is destined solely for the mid-card, if only just the tag team division. Turning him babyface will be a nice change of pace if we ever get to that fucking point and they don't drag this on forever. But even then, I just don't see them really pushing him back to the main event scene, which he kind of felt like he was on his way towards back in 2022, early 2023. I just don't see that at this point. So yeah, if he were to leave and then come back, he is young enough to where he could totally do that. I mean, be gone for 3 to 5 years, come back. I mean, Drew was only gone, it felt like an eternity. Drew was only gone for 3 years. Like, think about that, how crazy that is. He got fired in 2014. He came back less than 3 years later at that takeover in early 2017 at TakeOver Orlando. He was not gone for all that long. The Theory is around that same age where he could leave. I don't know about going to AEW necessarily, but like he could leave, go to TNA, like kind of freshen himself up, maybe other promotions, and then come back in 3 to 5 years. And I feel like that could do him some justice. That doesn't happen to everyone. Some people do leave, get fired, or quit, go elsewhere, and then you kind of think they're going to be back a bigger star, and then they just don't. Or they come back and they were better off when they were gone, but they don't really get treated any better when they come back. Now, granted, he was older, but like John Morrison comes to mind, where he was never going to get beyond a certain level in WWE had he stayed. He was a mid-card guy at best. A lot of people thought he had main event potential. For a long time, he didn't really do anything. I don't know where he went for like the first couple of years post-WWE. Maybe he was just working indie shows, doing acting, I don't know. But the Lucha Underground run and the TNA run really helped make him feel like a big deal again, like a top main event player. Like, granted, he was a bigger fish in a smaller pond in those promotions. But he had a chance of kind of bringing that character to WWE. And then he came back to WWE, and he was right back to where he was before, and they never really tried with him on his own. They only ever did the Miz thing. As soon as the Miz thing ended, they fired him. Now, would that be different in Triple H's WWE? I don't know. But he was also gone from WWE for like a fucking decade. He was gone for way too long. I feel like he kind of missed his window. With Theory, with McIntyre came back pretty quickly, all things considered. I think that was the sweet spot in which he came back. Theory would have to be gone for the right amount of time, make sure he is making himself a bigger star, getting booked properly, doing stuff on his end. Like, Drew made it seem easy. It's not that easy. Not everyone can follow that same path. Cody Rhodes did that. He became a big star, but again, that doesn't happen with everyone. So I feel like Theory would benefit. Cody Rhodes was another guy. He was going nowhere fucking fast as long as he was in that company. So yeah, honestly, I never really thought about it like that, but you're probably right. At this point, Theory's best shot is probably leaving. I don't think they would ever fire him, at least not for a long time. Like, I didn't think they would ever fire Ziggler, but that was also because he wanted to leave. I just don't see that happening with Theory. I feel like he'll probably be there as a reliable undercarder, but they're not going to see anything in him until he proves to them that he has it in him by going elsewhere and showing it to them by becoming a top guy elsewhere. So until that happens, he probably is destined for the mid-card, doomed for the mid-card, so you're probably right as far as that comparison goes. And, I mean, it's hard to say. A lot of people say, oh, Theory's a good worker, but he has no charisma. People kind of felt the same way about Drew. Like, he didn't have that beaming charisma that he has now, or is as good as he is now. He had to evolve and go elsewhere. And even when he came back to the company in 2017, 2018, he wasn't the guy that he is today. He was great, but he wasn't that top heel, top babyface that we ended up seeing in 2020, 2021, and even today in 2024, you know? Your second question, does it feel like LA Knight's lost the momentum due to a lack of credible challengers during his U.S. title run, or can he make a smooth transition back into the WWE title picture? You know, I don't think he's lost a lot of momentum. I feel like if he's still super fucking over, which he is, like even Jey Uso, I guess you could say he lost momentum, but that's because he was directionless for a long time in 2024. When he ended up like winning the U.S. Championship or the IC title briefly, now the Bloodline stuff, like now he has direction again. But for a long time this year after the Jimmy Uso feud, he really wasn't doing much of anything. LA Knight at least was champion for a while. He had a lot of great matches. I really enjoyed his run personally. You mentioned lack of credible challengers. Yeah, true, but like the Kaiser match was fun in Germany. I think they did on that, SmackDown during Bash in Berlin weekend. The matches with Escobar were good. The Berto match was good a couple of weeks ago. The matches with Hayes and Andrade and the Triple Threat were fucking great. I love those matches. And the match in which he won the belt from Logan Paul back at SummerSlam was also a lot of fun. So he had a lot of title defenses. He's still very over. He's been a consistent presence on the show. It's not like he's disappeared from SmackDown. We'll see what happens now that he's not champion. Yeah, does he have the same momentum that he had a year ago? No, because he was a main event guy and he was on the rise initially, and that's just what happens, and he kind of found a spot in the upper mid-card, but he's still been on the SmackDown show consistently. He's still super fucking over. Could he have a smooth transition back into the main event scene? Honestly, I think he could, yes. The problem is right now, I don't think he will, because like, where do you go with him in the title picture? He's not winning the WWE title anytime soon. There's no feud that makes sense. Cody Rhodes probably is not dropping the belt. And even if he were, he would probably go right back after it. So there's no place for him right now in the main event scene. I don't really want him in the main event scene anyway if he's just going to go into the world title picture and lose. I'd rather him just stay right where he's at or have an upper mid-card feud with someone. I feel like the United States Championship kind of belongs to him, though. I feel like they should just give the belt back to him. The Nakamura thing, whether he holds on to it or not, to me doesn't really do anything, and I don't really give a shit about it personally. But I feel like you can give the belt back to LA Knight, get him some new challengers, bring in, some people from NXT, Raw, whatever. Kind of start over again with his reign and a second stint as U.S. champion. They wanted to just switch things up with LA Knight and have him lose it so he could chase to get it back. That's fine. But they do have to do a better job of giving him better challengers because Nakamura is good. And I'm glad they brought him back, but they need more people in that SmackDown mid-card scene. Giovanni Vinci is cooked, but like they fired Baron Corbin. Cruz is not credible. Just based on how they've booked them. They have issues in that SmackDown mid-card scene, but, I don't. Back to your original question, I don't really feel like he's lost a lot of momentum. He has lost some momentum because he's not a main eventer anymore like he was a year ago or earlier this year, back at the Royal Rumble season. Can he get back to that point? Yes, absolutely. I just feel like it's not like he's cooled off so much to the point where you couldn't see him at that level. You totally fucking could. I absolutely could see him as a world championship challenger at some point, if not the world champion itself. It's just that now is not the right time. No L from Facebook, their first question was, who would you say from WWE has had the worst year in WWE this year? Oh, God, I don't know. I'm going to pull up the roster real quick, but, I mean, it really could be it could be any number of people. Who's had the worst year? Like, you could say someone like Theory, but I feel like he was a champion for a little while. Chad Gable was, he was more featured for a while, and then he just fucking lost every match that mattered, so that really bothered me. But I would say even his 2024 was better than his 2023, because at least he's been on TV, and he got a new group, and all this other sort of stuff. Worst year. I feel like a lot of people are just doing better for the most part than they were last year. I don't know. I'm kind of looking through the roster. Carlito, but even Carlito kind of like plays his role well, I think, in the Judgment Day. He also has been on TV a lot. Like, it's hard to say that he's had a terrible year when he's, on the show every fucking week. He's not winning matches every time, but he is winning. He's at least on TV, The Pure Fusion Collective, maybe. I just don't give a fuck about them at all. Just Sonya Deville specifically. Her return has just been a complete bust, and no one cares. No one gives a shit. She was gone for like a year, and then she comes back and does that shit. Like, it was a nice idea, but it just hasn't panned out. No one cares. Nakamura, I mean, I know he just won the U.S. Championship. His year overall sucked. I mean, he was on TV there for a little while on Raw earlier this year, and then he disappeared for 7 fucking months because they had nothing for him. He wasn't at WrestleMania, I don't think. No one cared about the guy. Probably Nakamura, although he did just win the mid-card belt, so I don't know. You know who had a terrible fucking year? The OC. Yeah, AJ, I guess you can include because he was gone. I mean, AJ not really, because AJ had that great feud with Cody Rhodes. Specifically, Gallows and Anderson. They're technically, I'm looking at the roster now, they're technically still on the main roster, right? And they have not done shit. They have not done absolutely anything on the main roster since coming back to the company 2 years ago. They were actually put in NXT, and even then they couldn't win fucking tag team title gold. They challenged for the belts at Battleground, I think, and lost those too. Lost that match as well. They're just, no one gives a fuck about them. They've had all of 5 matches on TV. And they were able to work. I know Carl Anderson just got hurt, but before that they were able to work. They just didn't. They were barely on SmackDown. If AJ's not there, then they're not there. So, yeah, probably Gallows and Anderson. They had an awful year, but like at this point, what do you expect? It's fucking Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Who could possibly care? Your second question, would you say Roxanne Perez's heel championship run in WWE has been very successful for her career in WWE? I mean, absolutely. I mean, she was already having a lot of success in WWE, former tag team champion, NXT breakout women's tournament winner, whatever, former NXT women's champion. She was already having a great run in NXT, over as a babyface, but she completely switched things up by going heel and having an even better title run now than she did the first time around. And it's not even close. She's been champion now for 8 months at least. I think at least over 8 months since WrestleMania weekend. That first reign she had was like maybe 4 months, 3 months, and it was good, but it wasn't great. Like, she beat Toxic Attraction. She didn't really have many title defenses, and then she lost it in a multi-women ladder match at WrestleMania weekend. At least now she's had a lot of title matches on TV, on the PLEs, and she's always stealing the show, having great matches with Thea Hill, Jordan Grace, Jada Parker, Lola Vice, Lyra Valkyria, Tatum Paxley. The list goes on and on. She's had a really, really good run. Julia as well. And her character work specifically and mic skills, to me, overall have improved a lot from where they were even at this time a year ago as a babyface. So, yeah, Roxanne has probably had the best year of any female in WWE. I kind of regret not putting her in my year in review awards. Like, I didn't include NXT at all. I put Fraxim in there, but I kind of forgot to put Roxanne. I can't include one and not the other. So that was a mishap on my part, but I think she has had a great year, and she's probably had the best year of any female in WWE. Liv Morgan and Nia Jax have also had great years, but more consistency-wise, like in-ring-wise and character-wise, I feel like Roxanne's had them both beat, personally, in my opinion. At Ewagoon91, the first question was, your thoughts on Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez rekindling their friendship? I haven't finished NXT yet. I don't think this is like something from the show last night. I think you're just talking about from like the last couple of months. I think it's cool. I think we mentioned this previously, but like having them rekindle their friendship this time with both of them as heels is a different dynamic. It gives Cora Jade something to do right off the bat. She's not really shining on her own right now, but I think she's great on her own and or great with Roxanne. They have great chemistry, and they're kind of picking up where they left off, this time as partners and not as rivals, and they can always go back to them feuding down the road if one of them turns babyface, probably Roxanne again down the road. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. I don't think they need to win like the tag team titles or anything from the main roster, but which also would not be awful, by the way. But yeah, I think it's cool. I'm totally in favor of it. It gives both of them something to do as well, specifically Cora if she's not champion. Their second question: if or when Julia and Roxanne have their rematch for the NXT Women's Championship, do you think that'll happen at the first NXT PLE next year? I don't know, honestly. They have so many options at this point. Like, Stephanie has beaten Roxanne now. Zarya pinned Roxanne a couple of weeks ago. They have so many different options of who they can go with as Roxanne's next challenger. I'm not convinced that it's Julia. Julia may not get another opportunity one-on-one. So I don't know. I'm not going to say that it's going to be Julia and Roxanne in the first NXT PLE of 2024. Because I don't know. I mean, they have New Year's Evil. That's typically a TV special. So I hope they do whoever wins Deadline, that Iron Survivor Challenge match for the women, I hope they do the match on that show and not wait until the February PLE like they did with Trick Williams last year or this past year. Because he got hurt. Like, they did some storyline bullshit reason for why they didn't do it. I'm pretty sure it was a storyline. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be Julia. I think it might be Stephanie or Zarya. I think Julia might be the third choice, actually, because Julia got her shot and lost already. And they might want to move on to another woman instead. So we'll see. Your third question: based on Adam Pearce's comment last Monday night, do you see Finn Balor and JD McDonough losing the World Tag Team titles for sure this coming Monday? P.S. I love Michael Cole's hatred of Dominic. I'm not convinced of anything. I thought they might lose it to the Viking Raiders or the War Raiders a couple of weeks ago, and they didn't. I thought that was a stupid move. Even if the War Raiders do end up winning it, it's like, why? They should have won it the first time. Like, what is the point of keeping the tag titles on Balor and McDonough? Balor is challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship next week, and it's Saturday night's main event. His focus is not on those tag titles. It has never been on those tag team titles. Why the fuck are they still champions? Their reign has been awful. It has been abysmal. They are not defending those things at all. They've had 2 title defenses in like 6 or 7 months. It's ridiculous. It's worse than fucking Logan Paul. My God. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose it this Monday. I know Adam Pearce said he would let them know of their next World Tag Team Championship challenge on Monday. I don't know if they're going to be defending on Monday. I would be very surprised if he went into Saturday night's main event losing the tag team titles. It's not exactly a momentum boost. I feel like if they were going to do it, they would be after the pay-per-view. But it should have happened already. And Finn Balor doesn't have to get pinned. It could be JD McDonough. Just completely stupid. At Reborn Again, John Ritland from the Twitter machine and on YouTube, Real Honesty with John Ritland. Check out his content. He does great work. His first question was, so what the fuck was Nia Jax supposed to be doing with that chair at Survivor Series? She must have gone to the Hulk Hogan school of delivering chair shots. Unless her intention was to hurt the air molecules around the other wrestlers, then mission accomplished. Man, John Ritland pulling no punches here for Nia Jax. Yeah, she did not have a good performance in that match. I think 2 things can be true. I think it's accurate to say she's had a great year and relative to the rest of her career. But I think it's also accurate to say that she did not have a good showing in that match. Like, I don't know if you need to go on, like, fucking Twitter and start shitting on her, like, tweeting at her and stuff. I don't really think that's necessary. That goes with anything, though. Like some people have, and she kind of responded to, I think, JD from NY's comment about it and all this other sort of stuff. I don't know if he even tagged her. I think he just shit on her, which, again, he's entitled to do. I don't think, she had a trash performance in that match. Calling herself trash, I don't know if that's fair. I mean, she's not the best in the ring at all, but she's improved a lot. She's had a very good year. The War Games performance did suck, though. That was not a good match overall, but specifically from her. Those chair shots were fucking awful, I agree. But not every Nia Jax match is bad, so, it's not like every match of hers, at least at this point, is terrible. She was pretty bad a few years ago, but she's improved a lot. And that War Games match, I think it's safe to say that she's had a great year and one of the better years of any WWE female this year. But it's also like accurate to say that she had a terrible performance in that match. That's pretty spot on, I would say. Nothing against her. Everyone has an off night, but yeah, that performance was not good. His second question, is there a chance Kevin Owens beats Cody at Saturday night's main event, or is this just a one-off match? I think it's more likely, I hope they don't do a fucking non-finish and then set up a rematch at the Rumble. I think this goes to the Rumble anyway. I don't think the feud, because it's just now really heating up. I think they're doing Owens and Orton at WrestleMania. I thought they might do Cody and KO at Survivor Series and then have Cody and then have Owens and Orton blow that off at Saturday night's main event. I mean, that would have been a quick turnaround. They really want to stretch this out, so that's fine. They're doing Cody and KO at Saturday night's main event instead. And I feel like they might stretch it out even further and do it at the Rumble, and then Orton comes back and you do Orton and Owens at WrestleMania. That's probably what they're going to do. I want Cody and Randy, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get that anytime soon. I don't know. Maybe they do. I'm not really sure what they have in mind, what they have in store. I would love to see Kevin Owens beat Cody Rhodes. I am still convinced they are not putting the belt on Cody or on Kevin. They have done like surprise title changes before, but they haven't really done it with the world title in a while. I mean, they did. I guess at WrestleMania, they put the belt on Drew for like 5 minutes before Damian Priest cashed in. So I guess they did it there. With the WWE title, they haven't done it with Cody. Like, Cody losing to AJ would have been sick. Even if AJ got a reign for like a month, then lost it right back to Cody soon after, that would have been cool. They did not do that. And they haven't done it yet. So, you know what? Kevin Owens winning would be amazing. It would be an amazing moment. I don't think they do it. I would be in favor of it. I don't think they do. I don't think they're ever going to put a world championship on KO again. That's just my hunch. But I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong because he deserves it. He's doing great work right now. But we're always in this spot where he's doing great work and then they don't put the belt on him. So this doesn't. It just doesn't feel any different to me. But I would love if you really want to make that special feel extra shocking and important, you put the belt on Owens and then Cody can regain it like soon after or at the Rumble or whatever. That to me would be the way to go. And Cody already beat Owens as well, so it's kind of hard to explain Cody beating Owens at Bash in Berlin, and then again on this show next weekend, and then again at the Rumble if they continue, which they probably will. That would just be fucking lame. So Owens should win once. Will he? Probably not. I'm thinking he won't. Is there a chance? Yeah, there's always a chance. I just don't think it's very likely. But I hope they do that. I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be a nice swerve if nothing else. Non-wrestling related, also from John. He said, non-wrestling related, but what do you think of the latest Nosferatu remake being released on Christmas Day? Not exactly a holiday-themed movie, is it? Side note, I'm at 312 movies for the year, with a likely 15 to 20 more to be added by Christmas week. That's crazy, John. You're grinding right now. So I did watch the trailer that you sent me. I'm not going to see the movie. I don't really care. I don't really care about Nosferatu. I'm not going to the movies on Christmas anyway. Could I go afterwards? Sure. Yeah, no, obviously, it's not a holiday movie. They don't really put out Christmas movies on Christmas because by that point, the day after Christmas, people have already moved on. So obviously, it's not going to be. They're not releasing a holiday movie that close to Christmas. That's why they typically do it in November, early December. I get it. But yeah, I saw the trailer. I didn't even know there was an original. I just know Nosferatu from that fucking SpongeBob episode. I mean, I don't know. There's probably a lot of people my age that only know of Nosferatu from that one SpongeBob episode where he goes, Nosferatu, and he's like turning the lights on and off, and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this reference, you know? But that's what I know him from. I haven't seen the original movie. It looks like a pretty standard horror movie, and I know Willem Dafoe is in it. That's cool. I really don't care to see it, but hopefully it's good. I probably will not be seeing that, but I will go see Mufasa, even though there's no reason for that to be made either, but, you know, whatever. I'll probably go see that over fucking Nosferatu, but if it is good, let me know, John. You're a pretty good judge of character with that sort of stuff. And last question for the episode, at The Average Grunt from Twitter, what's a more satisfying finish, a clean pin or a clean submission? Good question. I'm going to go clean submission. Clean pin is... Clean pin that is more satisfying, but I just feel like we never really get clean submissions all the time. If you were to have, like, let's say John Cena gets beat, does he get tapped out or does he get clean pinned? He's been clean pinned a lot, you know, especially in the last decade plus. He never really got tapped out all that much, if ever. He passed out a couple times. I don't think he's ever tapped out. He hasn't tapped out in a long time, like clean. That would be more satisfying because that's a much bigger deal. I think it's a bigger deal to make someone tap out in kayfabe than it is to pin them because you could pin them. I mean, that's an impressive feat, but we see a lot of clean pins a lot of the time. If you tap someone out, like I guess the answer, it is that it's more satisfying to see a clean pin. But I think a clean submission is more impressive because you're forcing that person to tap out, and not everyone taps out. Like Rollins and people like that do not tap out often. So it's a big deal when it does happen. Like if Roman Reigns were to tap out, like that's a big fucking deal. He got pinned at Mania. He got pinned clean at Crown Jewel a couple weeks ago, about a month ago. Those were big deals, but they weren't, he didn't get tapped out. Like if he got tapped out, that would be fucking massive. That would be even bigger. So clean pins are satisfying, but it's just because we see more of them than we do the clean submission. If a clean submission happened on a big star, that is an even bigger big deal. That's even a bigger deal, and that would also be even more satisfying. So I would probably go with that one. And that's going to do it, guys, for today's hashtag AskGSM episode 575. Man, what a fucking milestone. That's crazy. For December 4th, 2024. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. As always, I appreciate it. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook.com /Graham.GSM.Matthews. Be sure to drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section in this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. Like I said earlier, guys, check out the WWE AEW 2024 Year in Review Awards right now, 12th annual, going on at the moment at WrestleRant.com. Be sure to cast your votes in all 10 categories. We will reveal and discuss the results on the December 26th edition of WrestleRant Radio, excerpts of which will be available here on the channel soon after, as well as the full episode. But be sure to cast your vote now, and we'll discuss those results here on the show. Not on this show, but on WrestleRant Radio at the end of the month. And you can also get your all-new Christmas WrestleRant shirt to support the brand, support the show, support the channel, all the stuff that I do. I would appreciate it. You can buy a shirt right now over at ProWrestlingTees.com /WrestleRant. The link is also available down below in the description box for this very video. So with all that being said, guys, enjoy the holiday season, whether it be Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or just the month of December. Whatever you celebrate, have a great month. Be well, guys. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. I'll catch your ass down the road.